Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to this midweek sort of edition of On the Links Live. We're actually live from the Liftlock Golf Club. Doesn't look like a golf club behind me, but this is where the best Wi-Fi was, and this is the little corner that they have us in, and we want to thank them for having us here today. They even made us a nice little sign at Liftlock. Look at that. Welcome On the Links Live. Very nice. We're going to have another episode down the road here with the gang here from Liftlock. But we're going to go outside, actually, to the putting green here at Liftlock and check in with Carl. Uncle Carl, how you doing out there? It doesn't look like you have the best broadband internet out there, but we do see you here somewhere. You're kind of circling inside here maybe a little bit, if you can hear us. Yeah, he's kind of like there, but not there. There he is. Hey, Uncle Carl. Smile. Yeah, he's frozen, but he's frozen. That's perfect. That could be his mugshot maybe one day. But Carl, come on inside. Jordan, can you tell my buddy Uncle Carl sitting there on the putting green by himself to come on inside? I think he needs a little better broadband, so a little bit of internet in there because he's frozen solid. He's also using a flip phone, I believe, as well. So we're going to take Carl offline here a little bit, and we're going to just swing things over to this gentleman right here. That is Mr. Bob Young. What's up, Bob? Great to see you here today.
It's good to be here, too.
Yeah, okay. So we need to share this a little bit. That's just the way we roll here. That's okay. We can do this, but you got a new book out. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about yourself. For the people that don't know Bob Young, of course, you are Scott's son. Hey?
That's true.
Hey? How many times do people start with that?
When I was a kid, that was how I was introduced. This is Scott Young's son, Bob.
Right.
Occasionally somebody would, and that was if they remembered to mention my name. Then later it was, this is Neil Young's brother, Bob.
Did you think that's where I was going with it?
I didn't know, because my experience is that eventually the board gets covered. I've been listening to this stuff since I was a kid, so I'm not surprised. I noticed in other interviews that I did when they ran it on their network, NBC did this, NBC Golf. Mm-hmm. It opened with a little blast of my brother by way of introducing me and the book and the fact that Neil wrote a foreword in the book that he recorded and for the audio book. So, it gives them a way to attract attention.
Yeah, well, hey, what?
Yeah. If we can do it, let's use Neil Young's name and image for a minute or two. And then all of those people that play golf that listen to Neil's music might just hang around and listen to the rest of this story.
Never hurts, right? It never hurts to have a famous relative or two. But quickly, though, let's backtrack. Your dad, who my dad knew, and he went down to interview your dad several times down, I believe, on Gilmore Street back in the day, was a well-known sports writer and author. And I read many of his books in school, Boy at Leafs Camp, Boy on Defense, Scrubs on Skates. Yeah. What was your favorite? Did you have one? Did you read them?
The Scrubs on Skates I liked, and but he wrote 35 or 40 books. And there was another one, Hockey is... I've forgotten the title. I always thought the title should have been Fire Imlach. They didn't like that. Imlach thought it was a good title, but the publishing company didn't. And I think it was called Hockey is a Battle. I think that was the title of it.
All right. Well, look, yeah, he wrote a ton. And certainly just Google Scott Young, go to the library and sign out a book. If you can still do that, if that's still a thing.
I don't know. I knew that my dad played golf left-handed at Summit Golf Club. Punch Imlach played. All the hockey players tried to play golf too, and some of them could hit it a long way, but where was the question? And I just kept playing.
All right. Well, hey, listen. We're going to try Carl one more time here. If Carl doesn't work this time, it looks like he's inside somewhere. And Carl, where are you now? Where are you, bud?
I'm over here, buddy.
You're over there. Okay. I don't know. You're somewhere in the clubhouse at Liftlock, but can you hear us okay?
I can, Pete. How you doing?
Can you hear? Bob can't hear you, though, probably. You're probably so. I'm going to. Anyway, you set it up, Carl, if you can. Set up what we're about to talk to. Take it away, and then we'll get back to more with Bob. So introduce our guest.
Yeah, well, Pete, of course, our guest is Bob Young, and Bob has written his book on Mind Golf. Can you see that okay? And basically, it's a recollection of his time spent with the one and only Moe Norman, the great Moe Norman. And Bob spent many years with him and, hit thousands upon thousands of golf balls with him, going back to the early days in Florida, what was the early Canadian tour, basically in the early 60s. And so, yeah, a lot of recollections in the book, some good stories, not only about a lot of the Canadian pros and some of the comings and goings of their time in Florida, but I guess the premise of the book is what Bob, the many secrets and strategies that him and Moe shared over the years, and Bob's take on that.
We're going to get back into action. Thank you, Carl, for that. We found you. Okay, so Carl nicely introduced the book for you, Bob, and told us all about it. Mind Golf, The Troubled Genius of Moe Norman. When did you first meet the legendary Moe Norman?
Roughly 1960, in that area someplace, playing amateur tournaments here and there in Ontario. And I just gradually got to know him because he was a fixture in the game and knew some of the pros that I knew. And I was, one year I was an alternate on the provincial team, the Willingdon Cup team. Moe knew me as somebody who was trying to play good golf. So that was really the basis, I think, of how we got to know each other. It just sort of grew over the years and then evolved into having private practice areas in Florida in the winter from the late 70s through the early 80s and beyond that too here in Canada. And hitting a lot of balls, like 250, 300 balls every morning. And this went on for years and years. And people off the tour would come and see us from time to time and trying to figure out what Moe was doing that caused the ball to go where it's supposed to, as was I. However, I remember Scott Simpson saying to me one time, "Do you know how lucky you are to hit balls with Moe and play golf with him all the time?" And I said, "Yeah, but at that time it was probably 1980 or 81, somewhere around there." And I said, "I've been doing it for 15, 20 years at least. And but that's it. Moe and I do this. That's what we do every day here." And those guys are impressed. You see them watch Moe, and they're all trying to figure out how he does it. But in Moe's mind, the foundation of it was you have to have a quiet mind. Well, a quiet mind can go pretty deep. Yeah, and if you talk to people in the metaphysical world, they talk about that. Carlos Castaneda wrote books about it that I read probably 50 years ago, maybe more. And but that's what he did. And he just he lived in his own world. He went to the golf course. He hit golf balls. The people that he associated with were all connected to golf, and that was basically his world. He saw the rest of it, but he didn't want to be involved in it.
Yeah, you had a quote you gave me just before we started. I mean, he had a ton of quotes, and there's probably a bunch in the book, but he had so many sort of Moeism, yeah.
Moeisms, yeah. Well, there was one, yeah. I don't know what we were doing, but we were someplace in some golf course. I think we were in Florida when he said this. We were wandering along, talking about what people do and don't do, and the fact that we're walking around a golf course, they're going to office buildings, factories, and whatever they're doing. And he says, people don't love each other. They don't know who they are. And it's stuck in my mind all these years, but it was a long time ago he said that. But that was a very revealing comment because it was directly related to the fact that he looked at what went on in the world and society, and he didn't want to be part of it. He looked at the wars, the conflicts, all of that kind of stuff. No, thank you. And he went to the golf course and he stayed there. So everything that he did was connected one way or another through people he met in golf, and he stayed there. That's what he did.
There's an expression now, it's overused a little bit, but people say, well, I'm in my happy place. for Moe, it was his comfort place. That's where he was most comfortable, was at a golf course and talking golf, because we still don't know officially what Moe may have had, whether he was on the autism spectrum, whether there's all these stories, right? Like, what do we know?
The question about autism, actually, I raised it. And I was talking to Lauren Rubenstein one day, and I said, this was a way back there. And I was wondering, do you think maybe Moe has got something that's that's similar to some of the stuff you hear about autistic savants, and was the term, and Lauren didn't know either, and nobody ever did know, but there was a bit of discussion about it because he was so good at what he did that the only person compared to Moe early in the game was Ben Hogan, and Moe, who Moe admired. So did I, and but when you look at what those guys did and what I eventually figured out, there is something about ball striking that Moe Norman and Ben Hogan both came to understand quite easily. Hogan called his line of irons producer, director, and apex. Once, way back there in the early 80s, the significance of recognizing the apex became apparent to me. And Wally Kuchar was there when I was doing this. He was Matt Kuchar's uncle, Wally, who was a good player. I think he finished in the top 4 or 5 at Doral in Miami one year. Anyhow, I was hitting the ball with I think it was a 2.5 wood persimmon at a purple weed, and I wasn't missing it by much. But that's what I was doing. I look at the weed. In my mind, I put the ball where the weed was, and then I look up in the air and it sensed the apex. And it was sensing it. The signal that I got from that was what I felt over the ball, and I just let it. I'd swing the club. I wasn't trying to hit it. I was just trying to go through the motion that I could see was necessary to deliver the sweet spot of the club down the line and let the ball go the same way. And that was what was happening. I got more refined than that as the years went by. Now I know way more about the energy that you tap into in order to do that. I know a lot more about it now than I did when I wrote my original notes, and I know more now than I knew when I wrote this book. And I didn't finish it all that long ago. Now I'm going to write another book.
All right, about Moe, or just on the swing, or
it'll be involved with what Moe did insofar as we talked about energy. Now I've got a better grasp of how to tap into energy and increase the flow, and that's really interesting. I'm intrigued by it. I'm watching what I do putting, using that, and in hitting balls. I understand how to set up the shot mentally, so that the physical motion starts to conform to the image of the shot to be.
Sure. So I mean, you got a lot covered in this book. I mean, so the people that are watching that are interested, okay, first of all, where can they buy the book? Where is it available? I know Neil did the forward on it, and I know there's an audio book as well that which is great, because I could listen to you talk golf or whatever it is for forever. You got the big pipes as well, so I'm looking forward to the audio version, because it's like a podcast basically. And Neil's on that a little bit too. And so where can people get all this stuff?
They can get it at bobyounggolf.com. And you can buy the printed book and the audio book right on that site, and it's shipped to you. I mean, the audio book, I have to say this, and as the writer of the book, the printed book, I'll say this. The audio book is better. It's the same book, but you can hear it. It's alive. The printed book, you can delve into things when you read, and you can sink right into the story and so on. But the audio book, by comparison, in my view, is better simply because it's alive. And I'm reading it, and I wrote the thing, and it works.
You don't get tired of hearing yourself?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have only, apart from recording it and going through it with Jim McKenty in the studio and tweaking it here and there, I have never sat down and listened to the whole thing except once, just so that I could hear what people who had never heard it before would hear. That was the only reason I did it.
You know what I like about this book? Again, I want to go back to your dad a little bit, but there's the cover of it. the cover actually reminds me of one of your dad's, the illustrations, the covers of his hockey books and such. Or am I wrong then?
This cover, you can look at it. I mean, it's a little dark in here, but you can see where the apex of this flight is. That line is radiating from the head, my head, standing there, to this point, and then down to that, and then you see the line of energy through the head of the club that delivers the ball up to the apex. That's what I was just saying, but that's the reflection.
Yeah.
And the woman, Diane Marshall, who created that image, did it after I explained to her what I was doing. She drew that. She painted it. Neil's office has the original of that painting. As a matter of fact, we thought we might.
Neil has it?
Well, his office looked.
Oh, the office. Okay.
They've got the original there. I had it sent there so that they could keep it in a safe place. And it's a great picture. And we might put it on a T-shirt or something.
Yeah, I like
poster. I'm not sure. Everybody likes it. So. And
that course?
What's that?
Have you ever played that course?
You ever played the course? Carl's wondering. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a figment of her imagination.
Yeah, I'd like to play that course.
I explained the concept to her, and she started looking through some golf books, or maybe it was online, and she came up with that. And there's, you can see the ocean or whatever it is, and a bunch of palm trees. It looks like a nice place to be.
Yeah, I could play a few holes there, just in my mind. But Mind Golf is the name, Bob. So order at bobyounggolf.com. And so I got a couple quickie questions for you before we let you go. We're going to have lunch here today at Liftlock. What does Bob Young like to have after a round of golf at the club? Do you have like something, a bite to eat? Do you have a drink, or what's a post round with Bob like?
I might have a glass of wine or a glass of beer, or nothing like that. But as far as food is concerned, as the years roll by, I am becoming a natural consumer of vegetarian foods. I have, I still eat seafood, but I notice that it's diminishing. Even I like the vegetarian stuff as long as you can get enough protein in your system.
Well, you're looking good. I mean, you're born in 1942, so that as you shooting your age.
I'd have to go out and play, and I'm going to do that. I'll be very interested to see what I can do because I'm still agile. I can still make a full motion. I don't have any problem with that. And, I know from experience, you just start hitting balls and just keep doing it. And you hit a few more every day. If you hit 50 and you add 5 to it every day, by the end of the month, it's a couple of hundred.
We got a question from the audience here.
Just that I think Bob does a lot of practicing out Tamarack way. Using their practice range. Maybe we could catch him out there one day. Yeah,
Tamarack. Yeah, what a spot out in the Holy Land, and that's where the book's available too.
It's got a really good practice fairway, and that's why I like that. It is really good. And,
you still have to pick up your own balls out there? Or
no. I don't mind doing that either. But the book is available there in the pro shop, and as I said, the audio book, you can find it online, and you push a button and pay them whatever it is, $12.99, I think, and then push another button, and now it's in your computer, so you could get it instantly.
Nice.
God bless the technology.
Isn't it great? And it's not working for us totally today. We kind of lost Carl's feed, but it's okay. We got you on. That's the main thing. Last question. Let's go back. When was the last time you played with Neil on the course? 20 years ago?
It was on one of his tours.
Okay, so who won, I guess, is what I'm asking. Head-to-head, Neil versus Bob.
I'd win, but but I'll tell you, he could hit it. He had a really complete motion. Somewhere back there, probably, when was it? Clint Eastwood was on Neil's trail to get him to play the AT&T Pro-Am. And I said, do it. He went down there and played, and at Pebble and Spyglass Hill and whatever the other third course was that year. And it was interesting. David Faraday, who's now, I guess he's back in the fold since or whatever it is. It's folded all right. It's definitely got some folds in it, that deal. Anyhow, Faraday was sort of, he went out in the golf course and tracked Neil down and talked to him. Somewhere there's some footage of that. It'd be interesting to hear that. Anyhow, it was when he hit it, he could actually hit the thing. He didn't really He wasn't trying to be a golfer. He was trying to be what he was doing. When we were kids, he said, "Do you think maybe I could become a golf pro?" And I said, "Look, stick with music.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easy for you. You're good at it." I'd gone with a little band called the Squires that he created in high school, and you know,
Well, he's got a heart of gold, and you have a heart of golf. So that's you each got that going. Yeah.
Neil is going to interview me about my involvement with golf and with Moe Norman, and then we'll edit it in house, like within the family, so that we don't.
I'm getting bumped by Neil. Is that what you're saying? I'm getting. That's fine.
It'll be there, and it'll go into the mixture of interviews like this one and the other ones that I'm doing. We hope that gradually it'll just permeate the golf kingdom out there, and people will say, "Let's check this book out," or get the audio book and listen to it. I like the audio book.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We got to wrap. What last?
I want to ask who Bob's favorite golfer is, or who he thinks is the GOAT.
Greatest of all time. Who's the greatest of all time? Tiger, Jack, Ben, Sam Snead. Who do you like?
You can't. I mean, in their eras, Ben Hogan was obviously one of them, and Jack Nicklaus, Tiger. There are people, and there's some sitting there now. This guy that just won the U.S. Open. I watched him. I thought, boy, he looks like he thinks I belong here, and he did. And Nick Taylor did the same thing.
Yeah, that was magnificent. That was drama.
I was watching that thinking, all right, is this guy just going to keep this vibe going that he's got a hold of here? If he could pull it off, and he did. And the putty sank in the last hole.
Have you ever seen anyone tackled on the 18th green before, though, Bob? That was that was something.
It was something, is right.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. There it is, BobYoungGolf.com. It's also available locally at Tamarack and out of the trunk of Bob's car probably as well, right?
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us, pal. Appreciate it. It's always great catching up with you.
Thank you for the invitation.
That is Bob Young, everyone. Cortha Carl, come on, just switch chairs just for a sec. We'll let Bob enjoy his veggie burger, and Carl can come on in here and wrap it up on the next episode. Carl, we're going to check in, talk more a little bit with our friends at Liftlock here, and we want to thank them for hosting our little chat here with Bob today.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, Bob's a bit of a natural, eh? You notice that? He's not only a golfer, but he's kind of natural with the interviews, and like you say, he has the voice. So I guess that is inherited.
Got the pipes.
Get the pipes.
Yeah. All right, thanks, buddy. Behalf of Carl, thanks, Bob, for joining us again. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bit of a special edition of On the Links. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember, golf is a game you want to hit long, straight. You remember the rest of it?
Not too often.
Not too often. Ciao for now.